Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the reality recap. I'm your host, Queen E, and we are back on the Real Housewives of Atlanta train. I've been off for a little bit, okay, but I'm back. And baby, have I missed a lot? Oh my goodness. These last 4 episodes have just been quite hectic. So before I get into it, as always, please make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the lovely things that we love for you to do over here on the reality recap. Please make sure to tune in on Instagram, to be in the comments, to like the reels, share the reels, like the TikToks, share the TikToks, all the things. On Instagram, it is Reality Recap Pod, and the podcast is available every Tuesday on all streaming platforms. There are ad-free versions with Apple subscriptions. And also, if you watch the audio, there are visual options on YouTube. Thank you so much. So let's hop into the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Where I left off was Britt threatening Kenya with a pistol. Now, I'm not going to lie. After some reflection, it doesn't really feel as much of a threat as it did before. But anyways, I would never try to test whether or not somebody truly meant it as a threat or not. If you're talking about, oh, I got a pistol, or let me show my pistol, or what, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not trying to see if you're serious or not. I'm not trying to see the pistol with my eyes. Okay. But yeah, after the fact, Britt was saying, oh, I really wasn't meaning it to do harm against somebody. Who says, let me bring out my gun as banter? And even if you say it as banter, I don't know you. So I'm not going to test out the theory on whether or not you're joking. So yeah, Britt, that was the wrong thing to do. What Kenya should have done immediately was call up her lawyer. Call up Bravo, go above Britt's head and get her kicked off the show. But is that what she did? She did something way worse. And honestly, I agree with Bravo's decision to kick her off the show. So it turns out what started the whole altercation wasn't even Britt asking the question on whether or not Kenya is able to be nice to her or to have a conversation with her without having an attitude. It was Angela who asked the question. Angela claims that she was trying to have Britt's back because she had seen how Britt had been received by Kenya. And so she just wanted to squash the beef or maybe address this tension between them. And I think if that really was your intention, when you saw things going left at the table, that would be the time to say, hey, by the way, I asked the question. This was my intention behind asking the question. I just wanted to know what's good. And is there a way for us to resolve? But instead, she kept her mouth shut. And she only wants to mention it after the fact that she did it on Britt's behalf to have Britt's back. This is the beginning of us starting to see Angela's two-facedness. In these last 4 episodes, I was like, oh, Angela. It's not looking good for you, girl. So anyways, Britt is talking about how Kenya has been shading her from the onset. And Porsha's like, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think you came onto the show having a preconceived notion about Kenya and maybe things just didn't go your way. And so you're kind of butthurt by the whole situation. I think 2 things are true. As we've seen before, Britt was definitely coming off as a fan. And in a later episode, she shows another instance of her coming off as a fan. And on top of that, Kenya did say some not so nice things about her, or like insinuating some not so nice things about her relationship, just like downplaying her marriage and stuff. And I think anybody who is precious about their relationship is going to feel a way about Kenya just questioning her marriage. Is it legitimate and stuff like that? I also think that Kenya is Kenya. And if you know Kenya the way that it seems like Britt knows Kenya, shade just comes with it. You want to come play with the big dogs? Well, don't be scared if they bark. Angela meets up with her daughter, Amari, and we learned that this family does not talk nearly as much as they need to. So Amari did end up getting married in secret. She's about 25 years old. And Angela was really hurt by that because as her daughter, she would have loved to be there for that whole situation. And maybe she feels like she is too young and jumped into the decision hastily and stuff. There's just a lot of things going through Angela's mind. But we do learn that Amari also has an estranged relationship with her grandmother and her aunt because Amari stays in a home that Angela had set aside for her. And it sounds to me like the people who look after Amari are her mother, Angela's mother, and Angela's sister. So Amari's aunt and grandmother. So she wanted to take the car, which she's entitled to. And the sister said something nasty to Amari, and she expected her grandmother to come to her defense, and she didn't. So now she's upset with both her aunt and her grandmother, and Angela's just not taking it very well. We know Angela already is at odds with her sister and her mom because of how they have responded to certain things in her own marriage with Charles. And Charles too, he wants nothing to do with any of this. She was trying to debrief him, just saying like, hey, this is what happened between Amari and mom and whatever. And he's like, keep your family drama in your family. I got my own stuff to deal with. I don't want to deal with your stuff too. Two things are an issue with that. Number one, what kind of partnership is it that you can't even confide in your husband to say, hey, I'm going through this with my family. Can you please be a support for me? And their response is, handle it by yourself. I do understand why he's responding in that way, because in the past, she has inserted her family into situations that they shouldn't have been inserted in, and it caused some tension between them and her spouse. But at the end of the day, you're still a union. You're still a married couple. You should be able to support each other even in the difficult times. But then the second issue that comes up for me is the fact that this family does not talk as much as they need to. The daughter's getting married in secret. The mom is saying things about your husband. The sister is cussing out your child. You can't even confront your mom about things because you don't even know what's going on. You can't confide in your husband about it because he doesn't want to know what's going on. Go to family therapy. I'm sure there's a show about family therapy. They need to go on one of those. We're going to fast forward to Kenya's grand opening. Before we even talk about Kenya, child, Drew comes in. She's trying to not have any beef with Porsha. She says enough is enough. We have been going back and forth about this whole Dennis thing. And for what? I don't want that man. He's all yours, baby. The sausages don't even taste good. I don't want it. Okay? Well, I don't know if she said the sausage don't taste good, but apparently somebody was out here eating sausage. Anyways. So Porsha is like, well, I haven't been meeting up to clear the air because I've had my reasons. Like, I've been sick, I've been whatever. She also has been hearing in the grapevine that Dennis and Drew have still been filming. She doesn't have concrete evidence of this, but it is something that is still keeping her from wanting to clear the air with Drew. Drew is like, you know what? Fine. I'm done trying. I've done all that I can. I don't think you've done all that you can, Drew. The easiest thing, the foolproof thing that you could do is drop Dennis. Shocker. I know. But in this world of how many producers out here, you could find somebody in a heartbeat, somebody who could probably project your career much further than Dennis has already, because I feel like she's a little bit stagnant. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't been paying attention, but it seems like she's dying on this hill of wanting to work with Dennis to her own detriment. You now have a stagnant career, seemingly to me. I might be ignorant to it, so I'll hold my hands up with that. But you're also now at odds with this person who you used to be friends with. For what? There are how many producers out there, girl? It does not have to be Dennis. Find somebody else. So here's where the drama really kicks off. Britt is deciding to come in peace. She said that she spent $250 on this white bouquet to show that she's apologetic for the way that she acted. She has told the other women, I was out of line for what I did. I'm sorry. I'm going to go and make amends with Kenya. Immediately when she walks into Kenya's event, Kenya pays her dust. She literally is like, I'm paying her dust. I don't want anything to do with her. So then Britt's like, listen, I'm not going to be around to be in a hostile situation. Let me remove myself. When she removes herself, this is when Kenya shows her absolute ass. Absolute ass. Kenya went and dug up past surgeries that Britt has had, explicit photos of Britt on the internet, and explicit footage of Britt giving fellatio, Britt being a cam girl. She blew these pictures up. She pasted them on a poster board, and she showed these at her grand opening. Mind you, she spent her daughter's college fund to open this damn hair spa. She's out here talking about wanting to be an inspiration to her daughter. She's isn't she Miss USA? She's supposed to be the image of, I don't know, respectability, being regal, being a philanthropist, being a strong, independent, goal-driven, motivated, inspirational woman. And this is what you decide to do at your grand opening. Should Britt have threatened her? No, she shouldn't have. We can all agree. But the response is asinine. The response is embarrassing. So I fully intended on watching Kenya's confessionals on YouTube. I had seen that going around and I hadn't yet caught up with the episodes. After watching this episode, I was like, absolutely not. What is there to listen to? And I didn't even notice that Kenya's confessionals were not being filmed. I'm new to the show, so I didn't even know what to look for. But I could see why the show does not want to be affiliated with Homegirl at all. What could Kenya really say to make up for why she did what she did? You're going to go and publicly humiliate a woman in the most disgusting way in a moment where you're supposed to be celebrating women, celebrating your accomplishments, proving to your child, to your daughter, what an inspirational woman looks like. And this is what you decide to do. Crazy. So, what's her name? Kelly. She got up even before the fellatio pictures were shown. She's like, I'm not going to let nobody slander my friend like this. I'm out. Some of the other women, they stayed for all the picture reveals. But after, they were like, no, that's disgusting. Kenya, you went too far. Whatever. I don't even want to be affiliated with being at this event. I'm done. I'm gone. Some days pass by and we do see Britt is in a very bad way, and I do not blame her at all. She has been getting calls and messages and all kinds of things just talking about what had happened at Kenya's grand opening. She's getting Kenya's minions coming for her online, and I'm sure whatever she's alleging is happening is really happening, because some people online, it's just scary business. Okay, y'all, get a life. Goodness sakes, y'all gotta find better things to do than to just harass people online. But she's now saying, my business ventures are in jeopardy because this has ruined my reputation. This is defamation. My license is now on the line. And I feel for her. I really do. Sometimes we make mistakes as kids and you don't want them to see the light of day. Unfortunately, she said that she stupidly let her boyfriend take videos of her. He posted them online. And she also was a cam girl for a short period, and that was also posted online. Eventually, she took time to have it scrubbed. So Kenya must have got tipped off, or somebody must have given her this information for her to then find it and share it again with the world. So very unfortunate for Britt. Kelly came over without her knowing, and she just wanted to lift up her spirits and stuff. And yeah, again, not absolving Britt of her behavior, but Kenya's response was just uncalled for. Get your lawyer on the freaking phone. Get Bravo on the phone. Get somebody on the phone. Retaliation is almost never going to work in your favor, because where you were initially the victim, you are now the perpetrator. So the silver lining in all of this is that Britt's sisters have actually reached out to her, and they've been able to talk and be there to support her while she's going through all of this. And we know that she has been at odds with her sisters, especially since her husband has been in the mix. And so to have her sisters still have her back, even in times of trouble, is really, heartwarming to see. She did have a conversation with her mom that was kind of like, to me. Her mom was like, well, women are miserable, and this is why it's so hard to deal with women, because they can be so catty and stuff like that. And I was thinking, that's the same thing that Britt was saying not too long ago, that she doesn't get along with women, that she's been jumped before by girls, and she's always seen as the mean girl and stuff like that. Clearly, this is rhetoric that she has heard from her mother. Her mother is probably the same way. And I'm not going to make it seem like women sometimes aren't catty and stuff like that, but to make it seem like it's a women only trait is very interesting. I think when you always look at other women and you say that women are the problem, even though you're the common denominator, I think it's time for some introspection. You might be the reason why you find yourself in similar types of friendships, similar types of altercations with women. I don't know. Britt and your mama, it's not looking good. I mean, hell, Britt was out here talking about pistols and stuff, and then she's like, oh, well, I was never actually going to follow through with it. But then they were talking about another situation. I forget whose husband was being addressed, but she was like, oh, he would have got slapped up if it were me. You don't see how you're the issue here? You don't? Oh, okay. Shamia hosts the ladies just so they can decompress after all of the drama that's been going on. I don't think Britt was present. Obviously, Kenya was not present. The women who were there, though, did speak on Kenya's actions, and they did not agree with how Kenya had showed her ass. Okay. Funnily enough, Angela at that event had come to Kenya's defense, saying that she understands why Kenya would have done what she did. You know, being put in that situation where somebody's threatening your life. Sometimes you do things that are very unbecoming and stuff like that. But then again, Angela's going to turn around and say that she has Britt's back because Kenya should have never done what she did. Just Angela's giving very two-faced. Very two-faced, very duplicitous. How can you be in support with somebody who's in direct opposition to me? Then you do not support me. Like, don't make it seem like we're friends. We're not friends. Clearly, we're not friends. So in this conversation with all the women are opening up about their divorces. As we know, Drew and Porsha, they used to be friends and they could be friends right now, seeing that they're going through similar things, but unfortunately they're still at odds because of this whole Dennis situation. Porsha opens up about the fact that Simon has been not only slandering her, but slandering her mother's name. Basically, he's been saying that her mother has been in cahoots with an armed robber who had burglarized their home or something like that. And she's like, it's one thing to talk about me. It's another thing to throw my mother's name into the, into the media as if she's in all of this. Like, no, you're going real low at this point. She's also upset with the fact that he hasn't been as present for her daughter the way that he was when they were married. And so now it's affecting her daughter because she's looking for Simon. Where's Simon? Where's Simon? And she has to lie, saying that Simon is at work, you know? all of this is reminding me of the show The Real. And if you watch The Real, there's somebody on there called Jeannie Mai. She was now married to Jeezy, who she's also divorcing from, but during that time on the show, she was getting a divorce from a 10-year marriage, right? And she had said, you don't know who somebody is until they don't get their way. And I think it is so telling that she was saying that about her husband, who in previous seasons, she had nothing but nice things to say about him. It's easy for somebody to be on their P's and Q's when everything is going right for them. But as soon as ish hits the fan, you start to see a different side of somebody who you had not seen before. Not all the time, but it does happen. And so I feel like that's what's happening with Porsha right now. And it's so sad to see that somebody who she once loved, even though the premise of the relationship is a little bit questionable, is now acting in such a nasty way. It is so important to see your person through all of the seasons of life. As you guys know, I'm in my lover girl era, okay? Just coming back from a vacation. 2 weeks vacation was not long enough, baby. Thank God we did not end in a breakup. But everything that could go wrong went wrong. There was something wrong with accommodation. There was something wrong with management. There were things wrong with me getting work done. There was stuff wrong with my health, his work. I missed my flight. Like, so many things were going wrong. And at the end of the trip, we were actually reflecting. We were saying we're grateful that those things went wrong because we got to see each other when we were not at our best. We got to see each other when that let me impress you facade is put to the floor because you're pissed off, because life is just not going right for you and you just want to cuss out any living being. But thankfully, we got to see like, okay, I can be frustrated about this, but still show up in a loving way for you, or still not take my anger out on whoever might be perpetrating this stuff that's affecting me negatively, right? So, seeing people go through divorce and seeing a new side of that person is sad to see, but it is just a lesson to learn that not only should you see somebody in their good, you need to see them in their bad. You need to see them in health and in sickness. You need to see that ugly side that a lot of people try to hide, because that's when you see the true character of somebody. Like Jeannie said, you don't know who somebody is until they don't get their way. And oftentimes when somebody's back's against the wall, they feel desperate, they feel threatened. That's when somebody's true character comes to light. When Porsha was sharing her story, she felt like she really could resonate with everything that Porsha was talking about. She said it's unfortunate that they can't be a support for each other because they are going through so many similar things. In this conversation, the ladies do ask if Porsha and Drew can put their problems aside. Drew says yes, but Portia's like, I don't plan on being friends with you, but I will be cordial. And I will say that Porsha did stay true to her words, so good on Porsha. Moving on to Drew and her situation, she has to leave the house for a little bit because, as the court has ordered, Ralph gets to emerge from the basement and spend time with the kids so that the kids have some semblance of normalcy, right? So Drew is annoyed with the fact that Ralph hasn't been paying for an exterminator, and he's annoyed with the fact that she's even asking because he's like, it's like $100. You can foot that bill easily, especially because I pay for everything in this damn house. Now, I didn't realize that. I thought this was just something that he was saying on his Ralph in the Basement podcast, but she didn't rebuttal that. She didn't have a rebuttal. And so I'm thinking, is he really paying everything? Is he really financing your life? Is he really, And then we do see later on that she wants to take him back to court because she wants to get him out of the basement. She wants him to pay child support, and she wants to keep the record sealed. And the producer is asking, why do you want to keep the record sealed? Like, is there something in there that you're scared of getting out? And she's like, oh no, it's more damning for him than it is for me. But the way that she was so upset that things did not work out in her favor, they actually worked out in Ralph's favor. And we do know that she was trying to say that her kids don't need to see the messy side of their divorce. Understandable. But keeping those records sealed seems to be something that benefits her as well. Girl, what is in there that you're scared of getting out? Because already it seems like Ralph, I'm sure Ralph has his pitfalls, but it seems like she's got just as many as he does. And maybe he is just as grimy as she is just as grimy as she's trying to make him seem like he is. So speaking of nasty divorces, Kelly has a conversation with her eldest daughter, Chloe. Chloe has apparently been a really good support for her during her divorce. She has even witnessed her mother crying on the bathroom floor, and she was able to get her little sisters together, just put them in a safe place so that her mom could just feel her feelings and whatever, right? So with this relationship that Chloe has with her stepfather, he has been in her life since she was a really young girl. I think she was about 3 or 4. But in the later years, she has seen that he favors his own children over her. And so Kelly is talking about relationships, and she says, I hope that you don't see my relationship as a deterrent for finding love and getting married. And Chloe outright says, I don't want to be married because I don't want to turn out like you. Ouch. Incredibly gut-wrenching for your daughter to say, I don't want to be married, not because of couples that I've seen out there. Not because I don't value marriage or I don't see the point in us legitimizing our love with a piece of paper. Some people only see it as a piece of paper, but because I don't want to turn out like you. That is so painful. But that's also a lesson to show us that sometimes the decisions that we make do affect the people around us. Like, in as much as society makes it seem like we are islands, we're able to thrive on our own, and everybody needs to set up all these boundaries and just like society has taught us to be very selfish and to be very inconsiderate. Oftentimes the decisions that we make do have a ripple effect. And we're seeing right now the person who Kelly decided to marry has now put a bad taste in her daughter's mouth. Now, that's not to say that it is Kelly's fault for why things have panned out the way that they have. Sometimes people just change. Sometimes people hit you with the okie doke, and the person who you once knew is not who they are anymore. It's just a completely different person. And oftentimes too, like, you make decisions in love, and then when the veil is removed from your eyes, you realize, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. And so hopefully in time, Chloe will see that her mother is a human just like anybody else. She's capable of making mistakes. It's not ideal for her to be in this situation, but sometimes it happens. And maybe with time, because I think she's only 17, maybe with time she'll see that love doesn't have to be painful. Love doesn't have to be like this. Like, marriage doesn't have to end in divorce, all kinds of things. So that was a rough conversation. I actually think Kelly handled that quite well. If it were me, I would have broke down crying. Like, what do you mean you don't want to end up like me? Like me? Oh my gosh. I would crash out. I would crash out if my daughter said that to me, for real. But yeah, hopefully going forward, Kelly and her daughter can have more conversations about what healthy love looks like. And that also marriage isn't the end all and be all. You don't have to be married to have a fruitful life, to have love in your life. There are other ways to be fulfilled. So Shamia heads back to the studio and we see her touch on Porsha's comments again. And I'm glad that they talked about it because I was like, why did Porsha even say that in the first place? But before we get into that, she's been shading Drew a lot and I'm not sure why. Because then she also invites Drew to her studio session after she was just talking smack about her. But anyway, she was like, oh, Drew needs to get in contact with my producer because my producer has produced for A, B, C, and D and whatever. But Shamia, girl, where's your music at? I think Shamia has a beautiful voice. But Shamia's music is giving very 90s R&B, but not that like long lasting type 90s R&B, not the 90s classics, just the this is outdated type of music. I'm so sorry. It's not giving, but maybe I'm not the demo. So I don't know. But anyways, Drew comes and they talk about Porsha's comments, basically saying like, oh, I thought that was Drew singing. And Shamia's like, girl, you are my best friend. You know my voice. Like, what's good? What's tea? So apparently Giselle did an interview. I was watching Jessie Wu talk about Real Housewives, and she said that Giselle did an interview saying that Shamia and Porsha's relationship must be estranged at the time of filming because this is not how they actually relate with each other. And to me, that would make sense. When you've been friends with somebody for so long, there's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of backstory, there's a lot of history that we will never be privy to. So we don't know what's going on with these two. But it's very clear that they are not in the right place because Shamia has been going through so much on this show and she hasn't been confiding in Porsha for any of it, really. And oftentimes when she does want to have a conversation with Porsha, it's her reaching out to Porsha and not Porsha reaching out to her. So that's quite interesting. Even the comments of like, oh, well, I thought that was Drew singing. Can I be too mad at Porsha about that? I don't think so. Because in this day and age, everybody sounds like everybody else. Rarely are we hearing some distinct voices. Like, I'm so sorry. When Whitney would open her mouth, you would know that was Whitney. When Mariah opened her mouth, you know that was her. Aretha, you knew it was her. Hell, Beyonce, you knew it was her. These new girls, I'm sorry, they all kind of sound the same. They do. I don't know if it's the voice filters or the auto-tune or what. I'm not quite sure. Shamia's raw voice is beautiful. Let's dial back the engineering and get back to the raw vocals and maybe some better lyrics. But hey, who am I? I'm not in the music business. What do I know? What do I know? Kelly decides to host a peace brunch because the women are still at odds with each other. And she's like, you know what? Can we just let it all go? Can we move on? So at this brunch, Britt opens up about the fact that her license might be revoked because she's currently under investigation after Kenya's exposure of her, right? And so Angela's like, well, hold on a minute. I'm in a similar field to you, and it doesn't take something like that to put your license in jeopardy. Like, what else is going on? Britt did not like that at all. Britt was like, how dare you make it seem like you don't understand why I'm going through what I was going through. You were there hearing the woman expose me, hearing her defame my character, seeing her put explicit footage, explicit stuff, y'all know what I'm saying, of me out for the public to consume. And you're going to sit here and ask me, why am I being investigated? Make it make sense. Now, at face value, I was looking at Angela too, like, well, yeah, why would you say that? Like, you know, the girl's going through a lot. Like, come on, be so for real. But then when Shamia asked her the same question, they were opening up about the fact that your license doesn't get revoked just for that. There has to be more going on under the surface for you to be under investigation. And so before, when people were saying that Britt's license is a bit fraudulent, it kind of makes sense now. It's just unfortunate that Angela brought it up in the way that she did because it put Britt on the back foot and the tension just started. Then Drew piped up and there was a back and forth between her and Drew. Britt said that Angela must be slow. Angela said that Britt likes to throw stones and hides her hands, which I do agree with. And yeah, things just went to a head. It was crazy. So after that, Drew and Britt decided to have a conversation. Drew was like, listen, I just want to get to the bottom of this whole history of yours. Did you ever sell cat? Were you having people pay for the coochie? Okay. And Britt's like, no. It was a stupid decision between me and my boyfriend, and he exposed me. And I also was a cam girl for like a week. Okay. It wasn't that deep. It just is an unfortunate event. Okay. So they ended up putting things aside, and she's good with Drew, but she's not good with Angela. And those feelings for Angela are still going to be present throughout the next few episodes. So Porsha decides to plan a birthday trip. They're going to Nashville to have a Cowboy Carter themed party. Child, what's the coincidence? I'm currently in LA to go see the Cowboy Carter tour. Guys, I'm so excited. If you know me, you know I love Beyonce. Cowboy Carter tour has been looking so creme de la creme online. I'm so excited. So if it were my birthday, I'd probably have a Cowboy Carter theme party too. So obviously Porsha is inviting all of her friends and Drew is not invited. However, because Porsha didn't explicitly say Drew cannot come, Angela takes it upon herself to invite Drew anyways. And she's like, well, Porsha didn't say point blank that she couldn't be invited, and so I'm gonna bring her as my plus one. And then she's gonna say it's under the guise of wanting to make amends because she knows the friendship that these two girls had before and she doesn't want them to be at odds. Girl, BS. Angela, it's giving two-faced, mama. It's not looking good at all. So anyways, Drew is on the fence about going. She doesn't know if she should attend because it's Porsha's birthday. And listen, so many things are wrong with this. If I'm hosting a birthday event and I'm clear on the guest list, don't you dare try to gate crash somebody else into my party. Don't you ever do that. And you, the person who knows I'm at odds with you, don't even toy with the idea of coming. How dare you? How dare you? Because if I wasn't, see, I can't even think of the words because I'm so upset at this hypothetical situation. I'm already pissed off at you and you're going to come and ruin my birthday trip. Don't ever speak to me again. Don't even look in my direction. Oh my gosh, that would piss me right off. So Drew is on the fence about it. And then she ends up deciding that she is going to go. But before she goes, she wants to celebrate getting a record deal with Dennis and this music company. I forget the name of it. And she celebrates with having drinks at Dennis's hookah bar. Drew, you're not doing yourself any favors. And I know you guys said that Drew's not a pathological liar or a home wrecker or whatever, but baby, that's what it's giving. That's what it's giving. Drew keeps doing things that are so unnecessary. You don't have to work with Dennis. You don't have to keep inserting yourself into their relationship. There are so many other producers out there, and I'm sure that they're better. I'm sure that they're probably better. I'm just saying. But anyways, Drew decides to show up to the party, and as Porsha promised, she's not going to be friendly, but she is going to be cordial. Okay. So she doesn't blow up or anything. She's chill. On the way to the festivities, this was like day 2 of the birthday trip. Shamia is emotional in the back of the Sprinter because she got a text from somebody who previously had accused her for lying about being in a DV relationship. So she had said that her first husband put hands on her, so much so that like he beat her out of her clothes, essentially. And she had spoken about that, and this lady had accused her of not being truthful. And now, for one reason or another, the lady has texted her just basically saying, hey, I believe you. And now Shamia feels vindicated. I'm thinking, number one, who is this lady? What is the relationship that she has to Shamia or the ex-husband? Why is it now coming up? Like, I have so many questions. But it's good to see that Shamia is now feeling validated, but it sucks that she had to deal with that for so long. And it sucks that she even had to be in a DV situation to begin with. And it's interesting because oftentimes we like to say, oh, that could never be me. I'm sure people who end up in those situations also thought it could never be them. But similar to how I was talking about Breon and Shantae from Temptation Island, it's like boiling a frog. When you do it incrementally, you don't even realize how much harm is being inflicted onto you because it's happening gradually. And then you find yourself in a situation you would have never been in the first place. If you dump a frog into boiling hot water, it's immediately going to jump out. But if you turn up the heat little by little, it's not going to notice until it's dead. And so it seems like that's a common theme with a lot of women who are in these DV relationships. Cynthia's mother has also been in a DV relationship, and she spoke about it on the show. I think Kelly earlier in these episodes talked about being in a DV situation as well, and that's even why she has the bodyguard that she walks around with. It's just so sad to see this be a reality for so many women, but to see that moment of vindication for Shamia was very heartwarming. And then my mind went back to, and why couldn't she confide in Porsha about this? Maybe she has and we didn't get to see it, but Portia's supposed to be her bestie, and she's being comforted in the backseat by other girls. I don't know. I just think that that's interesting. So the ladies finally make it to, they have two separate things. There's like a bartending class and a whiskey tasting class. And Drew is at the whiskey tasting class with Angela, Britt, and one other person I don't remember, right? I think it was Cynthia, maybe. And Britt and Angela start going back and forth because Britt feels like Angela plays victim a lot. She likes to make it seem like she has your back, but then if she gets any flack or any pushback or any criticism, all of a sudden, you know, she plays the victim. She feels like, woe is me, everything's against me, blah, 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 whatever. And so Angela didn't like that. She was like, what do you mean? Like, I accept accountability. Y'all are the ones that don't accept accountability. Porsha doesn't accept accountability. Just all kinds of things. And so the women were going back and forth. And then Angela eventually did say that she apologized if she hurt Britt's feelings. She later on has a similar apology to Porsha. Oh, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. When are we going to stop that foolishness? I'm telling you, this is the way that you hurt me. And you're going to say, I'm sorry if I hurt you. There's no if. I'm telling you that you hurt me. I'm telling you why I feel hurt. There's no if. Either apologize for real or save it, because I don't want to hear it. Okay, Angela? So the other group of women are starting to clock that Angela invited Drew, but was talking smack about Drew, putting a bad image in the women's minds before Drew even came. What is that about? Obviously, Angela is giving two-face. She's gaslighting, she's fake, she's whatever. So when all the women come back together, Shamia, Britt, Porsha, they're all co-signing the fact that Angela is fake. And Angela is like, first of all, I accept accountability. People like Kelly don't accept accountability. Remember what she said to Porsha? And she's like, hold on. Different situation. Okay. I was asking about our previous relationship and I did cop up to it. I went to Porsha and I told her what I said. Now, Kelly, I do think that her feet had to be held to the fire for her to say something, but at least she did accept accountability for what she said and she owned up to it. Angela doesn't do that. But I can't even be too mad at Angela because Porsha doesn't do that either. Britt doesn't do that either. A lot of the women on the show don't take accountability at all. So things were kind of getting better between the women, but then with the drinks flowing and then somebody messaging Porsha saying that they have proof that Dennis and Drew have been filming, everything just went to trash. Okay. Portia's coming in with a very nasty attitude into the evening. She's upset at Drew because I guess the real thing for her is principle. You don't have to work with my person on the low. If this was something that I knew about and this was something that we all agreed on, it would be fine. I accept that. She's not saying this to Drew. She's saying this to Cynthia. But because Drew decided to go behind her back, even after Porsha made it clear that she did not like the situation, Porsha feels like she cannot be genuine friends with Drew. And on that point, I do understand. I did also appreciate how Porsha said her issues with Dennis are between her and Dennis. So she's never going to give Drew the smoke that Dennis deserves. But I also do understand that, like, as her friend, and even not as her friend, but as a colleague, as an acquaintance, as somebody who used to have a relationship with her, it does more harm than good to do something that isn't necessary. There are so many other producers. It does not have to be Dennis, and it does not have to be done in secret. Speaking of secrets, The next morning, we find out that Angela is not happy with the ladies because the night prior, everybody was getting drunk. They were by the pool, drinking, yelling, talking, dancing, laughing, all kinds of things. And she heard her name and Charles's name. And so she decided to record a little snippet. The snippet, it was like so short, it really didn't say anything. You couldn't even hear what the girls were saying. But apparently, they were talking about this alleged outside baby that Charles has had on Angela. And remember, a few weeks ago, there was that clip going around from the Wendy Williams show where Wendy had gone up to Angela saying, hey, listen, it happens to the best of us, girl. I'm here for you. Like, men be having kids. It happens. So this has been a story going around for a while. This is not new information. Then apparently Porsha had said, keep acting up and I'm gonna sleep with your man. Now, whereas we don't know if Britt's threat was real or not, we know that that threat is real coming from Porsha. It's happened before. It's happened before. So Angela's not happy about that. And it's interesting how Angela went from being in good with all the women, or at least trying to be, to now being at odds with every single person. You see how when you don't stand for something, you fall for everything? She wanted to be everybody's friend all the time, wanted to be two-faced to this person, that person, only being loyal to the person who's in front of her. Now everybody don't like her and she don't like everybody. So we're going to see how they navigate this whole situation. Angela, girl, I think it's time to pack it up. Pack it up. What's Angela's purpose on the show for real? What's her storyline? Charles doesn't want to be involved. We don't really get to see her interact with her kids. She's at odds with most of the women. Like, really? It's a waste of space, if you ask me. Who else's story? I feel like we can go into Shamia a bit more. I feel like Shamia's storyline has been kind of put on the back burner a little bit. Same with Kelly. Kelly's even more so than Shamia. It lately has been like the Porsha show. Yeah. But anyways, we'll see. I'm back on the train, so hopefully it won't take another 4 episodes for me to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta again. However, I'm still looking for other shows to watch. I know Battle Camp just aired on Netflix, but it was the whole season, so that might take me a minute to catch up. You guys let me know in the comments if you want me to talk about it. Pop the balloon, I'm done. I tried. Me can't do it. Okay, me can't do it. I lasted all of 10 minutes. Yeah, I think I'm done with that one. Impatiently waiting for my summer shows. Something about spring. Spring doesn't always give when it comes to like dramatic reality TV. Real Housewives has been holding it down though. I will say I'm kind of sad that I missed so much because there could be more intricate details that I'm missing now. Like the season definitely did pick up after the Kenya drama. But yeah, you guys let me know what you're watching. You guys let me know your thoughts on this episode. I definitely want to do a response to your questions video again. So keep the questions coming. Also, make sure to keep in touch with me on Instagram, Reality Recap Pod. And as always, this is available on all streaming platforms. Did I say platforms? Platforms and platforms, baby. Every Tuesday. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.